All right, Golden State knocks off the Memphis Grizzlies in the play-in game. Was a great game, but Golden State manages to pull it off, so they lock up the number 7 seed and they get to face off against the number 2 seed Houston Rockets in this first round matchup in the Western Conference. A lot of people are not calling Houston fraudulent or anything like that. They did secure the number 2 seed by a decent margin, but the gap between Houston at the number 2 seed and Golden State at the number 7 seed, the gap between those two teams and just all the teams in between from 2 to 7, it's not like a gigantic gap, if that makes sense. Everything's just so tight in the Western Conference, and there's so many talented teams that, like I was saying, it's not a huge talent difference. Until you get to OKC, then there is a bit of a gap talent-wise, team execution-wise between OKC and the rest of the Western Conference. But with that being said, Houston definitely earned their number 2 seed. Their defense is nasty. Torrey Eason, Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, Şengün's okay on defense as well. They just have so many guys to defend on the perimeter, and I think they're going to match up really well against Golden State. To be honest, I'll make my prediction here at the end of the video for how I think this series is going to go. A lot of people are leaning Golden State's way because they have Jimmy Butler and they have Stephen Curry. So Golden State does have the two superstars. Superstars become really important in the playoffs. A lot of the times you'll see, I'm trying to think the last team that made the finals without having a superstar player. Probably the Pistons in 2004, to be honest. Let me know if I'm wrong, but pretty much every single team has one of those top 10 level, superstar players in the NBA, and those are usually the teams that are able to make it to the finals. Where Houston has just insane lockdown defense. I feel like they're going to match up well with Golden State because they have guys that can guard Stephen Curry. They have guys that can guard Jimmy Butler. They'll probably put Amen Thompson on Jimmy Butler. Torrey Eason will probably guard him a bit. And then Dylan Brooks, of course, is probably going to chase Stephen Curry around all night long. I feel like if I was Houston, my strategy would be just, of course, to try to shut down Stephen Curry as much as you can. It sounds obvious and it's easier said than done, but I feel like the strategy for Houston will be, throw doubles, triples at Stephen Curry. If the rest of the guys can make shots, or if Jimmy Butler's going to go off for 40, 50 points every single game, then they're just going to shake Jimmy's hand at the end of the game and say, it was a good series. Jimmy averaged 38, 40 points the entire series, but at least we stopped Stephen Curry. Because the one thing they can't do is let Steph Curry just get all these wide open threes. Every time he makes a three, it awakens Oracle Arena. They get going crazy, and it just gives energy to his entire team. But on Houston's side, they have Jalen Green, and that's their one star player. I wouldn't quite call Jalen Green a superstar yet, but he does have his nights where he looks like one. And he can definitely pop off for 30, 40 points any given game, and they're really going to need his scoring for Houston. Because again, the Warriors have Jimmy Butler and Stephen Curry. Jimmy's not so much known as a scorer, but he can provide that for the team. So I could see Jimmy averaging maybe 24 points per game throughout the series, and then we'll see what kind of job Houston does on Stephen Curry and see if they can slow him down. But if you go on Houston's side, they have Şengün, so Şengün can be a decent scorer, and then Jalen Green. Şengün's very efficient. He's a very good post player and just a good playmaker in general. Where Jalen Green's more a pure scorer. That's what his role is really on the Rockets. He's a decent defender as well, but he's really just more of a pure scorer, and he can be hit or miss from night to night. So you don't really know how consistent Jalen Green's going to be. But if he's able to average 25 plus in the series, I'd really give Houston a really good chance. Golden State's very good defensively as well. And like I was saying, I give Golden State the edge on offense just because they have Draymond Green playmaking for Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler. But other than Curry and Butler, again, Draymond's not going to be a big scorer, but he helps playmake and he gets people a lot of open looks. But once you get outside of those three guys, then you go to Post, you go to Brandon Podziemski, you go to Moody, and these guys are more just role players, to be honest, and they're younger players as well. Kuminga's not getting any minutes anymore, so we'll see if that changes. But I don't really count on anybody so much outside of Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, and Jimmy Butler. But then on Houston's side, just Şengün and Jalen Green are the guys that I really would count on offensively. Amen Thompson can have good nights every here and now on offense. Dylan Brooks can catch on fire some nights, and he might hit 7 or 8 threes. He's been known to do that every once in a while, so you'll hope for one of those games from Dillon Brooks in the playoffs. But it's going to be a really good matchup. Um, Again, I give Golden State the edge offensively, a pretty good edge, but then I'd give the Rockets the edge defensively, and they'd have a pretty large edge defensively as well. Even though Golden State is a good defensive team, again, they're one of the top defensive teams, but Houston's just on another level defensively, especially with Ime Udoka coaching. Everyone's going to be playing really tough defense. Ime's a great coach, so I see him putting together a really good defensive scheme. Again, like I was saying, it's easier said than done, but I feel like he's just going to be sending double teams, triple teams at Steph Curry, try to force him off of the three-point line. It's kind of every team's scheme against Steph Curry. It just matters if it's going to work or not. But the Rockets, they have the players, again, Torrey Eason, Amen Thompson, Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green's decent on defense. Şengün is an okay rim protector when they get inside to the rim, and he has good basketball IQ on defense as well. So you have so many guard players to throw at Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. And like I was saying, they're just going to try to slow down Steph Curry as much as they can. And then honestly, probably give Jimmy Butler as many wide open threes as he wants and just see, hey, Jimmy, if you can give us 40 plus, 35 plus every single night on the Rocket side, they'll just say, we'll take those losses. It just is what it is. But, if I was Ime Udoka, I would not expect Jimmy to score, 38 points every night like he did against the Grizzlies. I don't want to say it was an aberration of a game because he does elevate his game in the postseason, but I don't see him doing that every single game, especially against the Houston Rockets defense. And then on the Warriors side, you have Stephen Curry, you have Draymond Green, you have Jimmy Butler, three guys that all have championship level experience. You have Steve Kerr as your head coach, so Steve Kerr is obviously a championship level coach, and he's going to put his guys in the right position to win. Where with Houston, they have no guys with championship experience. They don't have a lot of guys with too much playoff experience, except maybe Dillon Brooks. So we'll kind of see how their youth affects them. I see Ime Udoka again putting together a really good defensive plan, putting his guys in position to be successful on offense. But I just feel like Houston, I feel like they're gonna lack a little bit of scoring in this series, and I feel like that might bite them because Golden State, if they win the series, it's gonna be offensively. They're just hitting on offense. Where if Houston wins the series, it wouldn't be offensively. They'd have to win the series defensively. And I feel like it would be easier. It would be easier for Golden State to put points up on Houston than it would be for Houston to try to hold Golden State to a certain number of points or try to contain Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. So I would go with Golden State. Golden State in 6 games in this series would be my pick. I was stuck between 6 or 7, but I give it to Golden State in 6. I just feel like Houston's too young. They don't quite have the playoff experience to compete with Golden State quite yet. But I am giving Houston a chance. If Houston wins, I think it would be in 7 games. So I'm not saying Golden State's 100% going to win, but my pick would be Golden State in 6. Again, just because of Houston's lack of experience and how young their team is. But who knows? They might come out and just put on clamp down defense on Golden State. I do expect them to play very, very good defense every single game. Defense is going to travel every game as well. Then it just comes down to what Amen Thompson, Şengün, what Jalen Green can do on the offensive end, because that's where I'd be a little unsure if Houston would be on the offensive end. But Jalen Green, Şengün, they're going to have a playoff coming out party eventually. I feel like this will be their coming out party against Golden State. Just depends on how big of a party they have and if Jalen Green can really explode and take his offense to another level, because both teams are going to play a very high level defense. I feel like the deciding factor is going to be if Jalen Green and Şengün can take their offense to another level and really put Houston in a position to compete with a championship level team like Golden State. Golden State's been crazy since Jimmy Butler got there. I think the record's 22-4 or something like that to close out the regular season since Jimmy got there. So they really turned things up and turned it into playoff mode. Again, it's just going to be a really good defensive battle. I'm just curious to see what Jalen Green and Şengün do on the offensive end, because I feel like we know what we're going to get from Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Jimmy Butler. Draymond's just going to be doing the dribble handoffs, running pick and rolls, pick and pops, just creating good looks for Jimmy, good looks for Stephen Curry, and making smart basketball plays. We expect Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler to play well on offense and get their points. It just depends on how tough Houston can make it for them, and then again, how Şengün and Jalen Green play on the offensive end. But yeah, I got Golden State in 6. I think it'll be a great series. Again, I wouldn't be gigantically surprised if Houston won in 7, but I just count on Golden State's experience and Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Jimmy Butler more than I count on Şengün, Amen Thompson, and Jalen Green, at least at this point in their young careers. But really excited for this series. Should be a really good one. I'm at a big 37 subscribers too, so please like and subscribe if you finish the video. I'm trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the week, and y'all really help out with the likes.